The science is very clear. People cannot overcome their salary being reduced or their title being reduced.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that for a minute. So,
all right.
And then I do want you to get into an example.
All right. The reason organizations consider demotion is either A, there's a gigantic crisis, which we can talk about those in a minute. Existential crisis of the survival of the organization. Let's put that aside for now. And B, it's because the person isn't performing.
And there are two reasons why the person might not be performing.
Yeah, your basic skill and will. I can't or I won't. And what we're saying is in a lot of those cases, if you've already run multiple experiments to try to get somebody back up to speed because they can't, and you've given them a bunch of training, or because they won't, and you've tried a lot of techniques to improve motivation, incentives, inducements, et cetera, and you're at the point where you know that you can't go any further with the experiments, you can't go any further with the incentives, we don't recommend demoting because, as we said, the science is clear, people hate that, and they basically take it out on the company to rationalize the dissonance in their head of, I'm great and I'm worth a lot of money and a big title, and now I'm taking a step back. And so almost everybody rationalizes that by saying it's because the company is screwed up and I'm going to basically get even by working less hard, not doing as much. And so we recommend actually having a conversation, and if you have to, encouraging them along into something else, not in the company.
Let's give them an example.
All right. Let me start with a counterexample of, we had in one of our earliest projects, the owner of a company struggling because a very highly regarded person
who'd been there through
forever,
like instrumental in the survival
of
the organization historically,
but basically had run out of steam.
Well, it run out of steam. Technology had lapped this person.
Yeah,
they were struggling.
Yep, and the person couldn't figure out what to do, and we proposed that what the owner of this company did instead of any of those things is promote the person, pay them a little more, give them a better title.
But move them into a different position.
Move them out of the job that they could no longer do. Fortunately, he was able to do that. Kept paying that salary, actually gave the person a little bit more money, made a very lovely sounding title, and gave them some responsibilities that they would be able to do. And
that were important.
Yeah, sure.
But there was a little bit in there. So I don't think, as I recall, we didn't make the recommendation for a pay raise. We were just trying to.
I know you're thinking about, we've done this so much. You're thinking about a healthcare organization, and I'm thinking about one that was not healthcare.
Okay.
And so we're a similar example. Once we started doing this, we've done it multiple times. And the essentials are, you have to pay them at least the same. If you can, you pay a little more. The title of the new job has to sound really good. And as Cindi pointed out, very importantly, people aren't stupid. They have to have some real responsibilities. To make this work, you have to get them completely out of what they used to be doing so that you free that job up that they couldn't do they couldn't properly do anymore. You free that up so you can put in somebody new.
Right. And for everybody who right now is going crazy because they feel like that's failing up, which I feel like that would probably be a response, this is unique to people who spent decades succeeding. And then usually because of age or some infirmity that has set in.
Yeah, or technology.
Well, but the age is part of the technology because that's part of the reason why they're not picking it up. They picked up technology before. They literally aren't able at this point in their life to pick it up.
Or not willing.
Well, not willing is different. I don't think that was the case, at least in the ones I'm thinking of. Not willing, that's a choice. And like, that's your job. Your job has changed. You need to pick it up. Not able is a different story.
Yeah. Okay.
So I wouldn't recommend it for not willing. Not willing, pick yourself up and get moving, because everybody's got to adapt.
Yeah. Okay.
But in this case, they'd spent decades actually being central to the organization.
Yeah.
Very good workers. Somebody who's not a good employee and you're thinking about demoting them because they can't
do the job.
Do the job. Like they've decided they won't do the job. Well, that's a conversation for whether or not you should fire them. And Geoff saying having a conversation with them about like moving out, that is a way to say firing in a way. I mean, like you're basically giving them, again, I think we treat firing, we're really bad at it in this country. The level of paranoia, like unless the employee has demonstrated a willingness to act unethically, illegally, then I don't know why we're treating people who we fire as criminals, where we don't tell them to the last minute and then we escort them out the door instead of just pulling them in, having a conversation saying, it's not working out. Like, this is what I need from you. I've tried multiple times to get you in a position to be able to do it. I'm still not getting it. I get that you don't want to do it. So this is no longer a fit. Please start looking for another job. You've got X amount of time. Or you give them a lump sum payout, I guess, to help them have the time and be on their own. But that is a much more respectful way to, because the thing is that not everybody you hire is going to work out.
Right. And by the time we arrive on the scene and somebody's considering demotion, all of the easy scenarios have already played out.
No, that's not true.
You don't think so?
No. We've been involved in organizations where instead of firing, they were thinking of demoting because the person wasn't doing it.
Right. But what I'm saying is most of the time when an organization is considering demotion, it's because there's somebody who, for a variety of reasons, they like or they feel like they've invested fairly significantly in. People who come in an organization and don't do well and get a couple chances, I mean, a lot of times people know, hey, this isn't going to work, and they're able to help those people find another fit somewhere else.
Yeah, but there's the in-between, Geoff.
I know.
Where there's somebody who was pretty good and then something happened in their life.
Yep.
And they're no longer that good employee.
Yep.
Maybe they were strategic and were intentionally great in the very beginning and then have just taken their foot off the gas, or maybe they've had something happen and like people, like we have limited resources, including cognition, and they just don't have the ability to have their head in the job.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're saying the same thing. You and I believe that demotion is a half measure that we entertain at our peril, because it doesn't usually solve the problem we have, which is poor performance in a particular job. And it creates at least as big of a problem or larger immediately thereafter when we take somebody who we should have moved out of a position and we do that, but we keep them in the company.